Hi guys. Okay, so in my session, I've named Mom Sarah, the dad William, the daughter Anna, and the son Ted. And so in segment one, I am just introducing and going through the initial greetings and getting to know everyone, and also starting to pick up on any boundary patterns and other things. But that'll come more in segment two. So, not really sure how this is supposed to be, but I'm just kind of reading my script, and you just assume that I'm getting answers in between. So, here I go. This is me. Hi, everyone. I'm glad you all came in today. So, I understand from your email that you guys have had a lot going on in the past couple of years. But more specifically, you stated that you've been having some trouble between you, Sarah, and William. So, Sarah, why don't you go ahead and maybe tell me a little bit about what's been going on? You go by Sarah, correct? I understand that you are a very busy lady. You have a stressful job, you're a mom, volunteer at the high school. That's a lot. And what would you like to see come out of these sessions with me? What things you want to change? What direction do you want to see your family go in? Because I know there has been some very like impactful things happening with your daughter, and at the same time, your son is maybe showing some signs of depression. So what do you think? Okay, so I hear you saying that that's a lot right there. And I hear you saying that you feel like a lot is on your shoulders, which I can see that. And I really applaud you for everything that you're doing. Um, okay, and so, Dad, let's switch gears. Your name's William, right? I understand that you especially have some concerns at home. You've been feeling alienated. Tell me more about that. Okay. How did you guys meet? How did you meet Sarah? Oh, so she was your friend's girlfriend first. Oh, that's funny. Okay. Well, you must have really caught his eye, Sarah. That's a good story. Okay, and then you suffered an injury a few years back, correct? Tell me about that. And how is your pain now? How do you manage that? Okay, and you also have some real concerns about your son, Ted, is that correct? Okay, so Ted, why don't you tell me a bit about yourself and how do you see things at home? What's been going on? Okay, and okay, so why don't you just tell me about school? What do you like to do? How are you doing in school? Do you like to do anything outside of school? You're a junior, correct? Are you starting to think about colleges now? Junior year is a big year. Okay. Um, you don't seem overly thrilled to be here, which I completely understand. It can be a very strange feeling to be talking to a stranger. Well, it seems like things are pretty chaotic at home. I know it must have been very difficult to go through what you did, what you guys dealt with your sister. So you're kind of feeling left out a lot of the time, kind of invisible. Okay, I understand. Mom, what do you think about that? Anna, you're a freshman, right? What do you like to do? Do you have a lot of friends? Do you like to go shopping? Tell me what you like to do. And I understand that you've been going through a rough time here recently. Do you feel comfortable sharing any of that? Okay, so now you're kind of feeling like your parents are right back into the arguing after it seemed good for a little while. Now it's just kind of back to the same old thing. Okay, I get that. And are you close with your brother? Okay, so you feel he's angry with you and spends a lot of time in his room. Okay, well, I'm hearing that you guys all have your own take on how things are going right now, and there's definitely some things that I think we can work on, making some more, creating more constructive conversation between the two of you, mom and dad. And I am picking up on some boundary issues, mom, between you and the kids. So maybe we can have some conversations about that and the way you and your husband are communicating. Okay, so segment two, after bickering about the daughter, right there in therapy, specifically the dad complaining how mom does everything with and for their daughter. And I wait a minute to look, see the patterns, and what the interactions are. Um, and I see that dad is retreating. Ted looks away and is in a slumped position, and Anna becomes teary eyed. So then I step in. Okay, let's wait a minute. I'm hearing that William is having a really rough time with knowing that you are, quote, never happy about his, quote, laziness, Sarah. And from William's point of view, how do you think William feels about the fact that you're talking about all these things to your daughter? I see that he may feel disrespected, perhaps. But also, Sarah, what do you think is going on in your daughter's head when you are bickering about her right in front of her to her father? Do you think that there could also be some confusion there as you're sort of talking to her as a friend at times and then parent at, in the next minute? It's a lot of back and forth, could be confusing for her. I know that your experience with your own father was quite traumatic. That had to be awful. And so, possibly the recent event with your daughter could be triggering some of that and uncertainty and confusion for you. After all, your daughter and you are very, very close. I can see that. And the possibility of losing her, I'm sure, is quite devastating. Do you think that maybe you might be overcompensating with your fears stemming from that? And it may be causing you to lash out on your husband, maybe put more pressure on him, because there might be some more constructive ways that you could go about it, and your husband might be more open and receptive to what's going on in your mind. So maybe we can talk about those feelings and fears that you've been experiencing, some possible triggers from your own family. Okay, so segment three, after seeing what changes the family members need to work on, I give them each some areas to think about until the next visit. Um, Okay, so we all need to work on slowly changing some patterns here, you guys. During the next week, Sarah and William, I'd like each of you to think about how hard it must be on your kiddos to see some of these things happening in the home in front of them. Um, Even as teens, there's just certain things that kids don't need to hear. And from what they're saying, it's been difficult. um, each of your children has very different take on it, but there's some overlap in the similarities also. And I see the passion that both of you have for each other and your kids. And mom, I love the closeness you show for your children. Um, and those relationships are so important as they're entering adulthood. But let's work on balancing out that passion and maybe sharing it with William. So I'm asking you to work on Um, William, I think it's important that you speak up to your wife more in a gentle way and express how you're feeling. Let her know how you feel like left on the sidelines. And these are conversations the two of you need to have to be able to constructively and just be able to move forward in a more healthy and positive way. Um, I think it would also be good to work on setting even a little bit of time alone each day just to talk about your day. And then perhaps on the weekend, you guys can go out on a date, even if it's a couple hours, just to get that closeness back with each other. Um, I think it's also good to remember, Ted, that, or I mean, sorry, it's also important to remember that Ted is nearing the end of his high school years and he has some very specific needs. Um, where adolescence is a time for kids to isolate at times, but it's also very important that you be receptive to his needs also and the attention he might need. So maybe a trip to universities would be something he'd be interested in. And things like that. Maybe talking about some time where Dad and Anna can spend alone. Um, that might bridge any gap there might be in their relationship. So I see some great potential for your family, and I think with a little work here, you all will start to see some very positive changes. I think breaking down some of these, like the rigidness between the relationships, will be a very positive thing. So I look forward to our next appointment. Thank you. And that's it. I don't know if I did that right, but good luck, you guys.